What's up, everyone? Welcome to Friday Night Draft League. Today, we're going to have a match featuring the Boston Red Claws, my own team, against the Lansing Leafeons. We were scheduled to go ahead and take on the Little Rock Lucarios match. However, that match resulted in a forfeit win. So, fret not, we do have a backup plan, and it's going to be commentated by none other than Solo Salo, but this time joined by Perk Hayes. So you'll have two commentators here for this match. And without any further delay, let's get right into the featured match for this week. Reggie Drago going out and destroying the Roaring Moon and almost taking out the Trophies as well.
This time, no Baron. Ooh, and Klefki barely hanging on. Oh no, with the burn! I think this is going to be a really good match. Cleveland Celtics have a really good team. Obviously, we'll be playing Pacific Coast, who's our reigning champion. What is up, beautiful people? I am Solo Salo, and welcome to week 5 of the Superior Draft League, where we have a great featured match for you today. It's the Boston Red Claws against the Lansing Leafeons, and I say we because I am joined by our loved Perk. So Perk, tell me, how's it going?
I'm doing good. How are things with you? Hello, everybody. Welcome to this week's battle. We've got two really awesome teams this week battling. One of them being the only undefeated team left in the league right now. How do you think that kind of pressure is going to change Curse's game plan going into this match?
Well, I don't like dealing with the pressure. I've mentioned this before, but I think that Curse is a very creative coach. And I think that he's going to bring some surprises. Nick's team, we already know what it's capable of doing. And we actually see that right now on the screen with Curse bringing the Klefki, Mewtwo, Gastrodon, Perchin, Honchkrow, and the Enamorus. What do we have on Nick's side?
Oh, it just disappeared. Give me one second. There we go. We got our Dialga, we got our Lando, we've got Indeedee, we've got a Hisuian Braviary, a Cantonian? Oof.
Joe
We've got a Typhlosion. Jotonian, sorry. Excuse me. Jotonian, Typhlosion, and an Ursaring.
The OG Typhlosion, man.
yes, OG Typhlosion. Kind of surprised to see that. I'm not a huge fan, but I've played with Nick in the past, and I played with him in some VGC regionals.
The fusion.
And right. I'm just trying to cut to the chase. And he's very creative, so I'm sure if anybody, he can make it work.
Well, this is a pretty standard lead here with the Indeedee for redirection, the Psychic Seek making it more beefy, and the Dialga. But on Curse's side, we're seeing the Persian and the Honchkrow. So I'm not sure what Curse might be going for here, because the Psychic terrain is going to block any attempts of sucker punching or fake outs.
Right, exactly. Yeah, and I mean, this lead is really scary. I mean, you don't want to be sitting across from a Dialga, period, let alone when the, opposing Pokemon can be redirecting your attacks into it. I mean, that's just, you're just asking to have a bad time. So, we'll see what happens here. They're taking a little bit. Here we go.
Okay, but actually, Indeedee goes out. That's interesting. Indeedee just wanted to set up terrain, right? But now Lando is coming in. And Lando is going to be intimidating. So yes, both of the Pokemon on Curse's side are physical attackers. Ooh, but a clear amulet. That's interesting. And a taunt. So I wonder if Curse was maybe thinking about a possible trick room or something as the Night Slash from the Honchkrow. That's pretty decent damage. Oh, what? Oh, I don't... Ice Beam it. Ooh, he's gone. I was wondering if Dialga was going to be able to KO in just one go. And there's my answer.
Yeah, I mean, that thing, absolute powerhouse, and having Ice Beam, having that coverage is huge. I like the Lando swap here. I feel like that was a good play. You know, you get that Intimidate off on two Mons that heavily rely on their physical attack to actually get things done. You've got the terrain up already, so you're sitting good on that aspect. So I think a good lead, good turn one for Nick and the Lansing Leafeons. But let's see if Curse can turn it around here. We see he's got the Earth Power and the Ice Beam here. A lot of power. Power enough, at least, to take out either of these Mons, really.
Okay, but that is pretty interesting because we did see that the Persian is going to go for an Icy Wind, so that's going to do a lot of damage on the Lando. And then we saw the Terra already, so Curse bringing a smart prep here, going for that Ground Terra to make that Earth Power beefier. Let's see if it's enough to actually take out the Dialga, but I'm expecting some very decent damage.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Mewtwo is just such a hard hitter. I think even without the Terra, this is gonna hit hard. You know.
I'm expecting though that the Mewtwo is like a kind of bulkier set because we saw on the preview screen that it was carrying an Agwov berry, so I'm expecting Klefki to put in screens as we see the hit. That was a beefy hit, a bit above health, and a defense drop. The special defense drop is going to matter. How much is the Icy Wind doing? It's enough to take out the Lando, so Persian picking up a kill there and getting the speed drop on the Dialga. That's very important as well.
It makes you wonder, right? Do you think there's a chance that this Persian has any special investment?
Ooh, I don't know. It might, just on account that it does have the Icy Wind, and well, I think it did matter a lot that the Lando is
Right.
times 4 weak to that, but
also,
it's definitely
like,
probably
there's no
not
boost
like.
there.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
There's no boost there for Persian, obviously, being a normal type. Plus the fact that it's normally a physical attacker. I'm just surprised, even with the 4 times weakness, to see it do that much damage to Lando. And I know Lando. I mean, that's the thing, right? Like, Lando, it's all about the ice. That's the most dangerous thing to you, but that was just a lot of damage.
And that was a KO, so that is very interesting. That U-turn not doing anything, actually, but I'm expecting the Mewtwo did protect here, so we wanted to see some damage on the Indeedee, and now the Gastro is coming in. But I'm wondering here if the Dialga actually chose to hit. Yes, that was a great prediction and great coverage from Nick, because what he did is that he followed me, and that made it so that even if Curse went for the offense there, his Dialga was going to be safe. But then thinking that the Protect was the most likely option for the Boston Red Claws, he still chose to attack on the other side. Lando tanking that, but they took a lot of damage in the process.
Right. It was a great read. I mean, like we've said already, you know, the Lansing Leafeons are here to play. Like we said, they're the only undefeated team, and just a very talented coach. But, you know, that's not to say Curse is not out of this yet. The Boston Red Claws are still in this. They definitely have been known to pull a trick or two. So,
hey, we know Curse and we love Curse, and he's definitely probably got something up the sleeves. As we see the Protect now on the Indeedee, so another smart move there from Nick. And the Dark Pulse, yes, good call there from Coach Nick, as the Dark Pulse is going straight into that Protect. And we're going to see another Draco from the Dialga. Oh, Mewtwo barely surviving, and now that Dialga is at -4. -4 special attack, as Mewtwo is going to be eating up that berry and recovering just a little bit of health.
yeah, and you got to think too. It's like, if had Dialga just bided its time just a little bit, knowing that read was there, instead of using the Draco Meteor in that slot, had waited a turn, that Mewtwo would now be gone, because they lost the special attack when they Draco Meteored into the Gastrodon slot, and then again, and now Dialga's sitting there with not a lot of health, and no special attack left, you know, really.
It's just gone. The special attack has left the building.
Yeah. I'm going on vacation. I'll see you next week.
Okay, but then as we see now, Curse is preparing here. We had a miss on the Muddy Water that I don't think would have been doing a lot, but it is also important to note that I think it was Dialga that dodged that. That Dialga is obviously going out because it doesn't have any more business staying in right there.
Right,
As we see the Braviary coming in, so that Braviary... this time the Dark Pulse going through, and oh my god, Indeedee is so tanky. Oh, but the flinch, and the flinch is important there because Indeedee was probably going to be attacking this turn. We did not see it follow me, although it refuses to die. What is up with Indeedee being so bulky? It's hanging on by a thread right there.
And I think right now, Nick's really happy that he's keeping that Dialga because as long as you have Indeedee, which, that may not be the case after this turn, you get to bring Dialga in, and even though you don't have that speed advantage, you can still follow me and just go ahead and sack the Indeedee to get a really, hard hit off with Dialga. Once it comes back in, it doesn't have all the special attack drops.
As we're going to see now the Terra, which I'm expecting it to be on the... Yes, it is on the Braviary. What Terra typing do we have here? Psychic. Okay, so that's going to make its attacks beefier. We do know that the Braviary usually carries the Esper Wing, which is very interesting because it has a chance of increasing speed for Braviary. And that would put it in a great position because I think after like 1 or 2, it is probably going to be outspeeding the Mewtwo.
Oh yeah, I mean just about anything I would guess. If it can get the speed boost. I don't think you said it's not guaranteed, right?
I don't think it is, but
we see it right there.
Yeah, let's go. A nice speed boost right there, as it also managed to secure a KO. So the Boston Red Claws down to their last 2 Pokemon. And now the important part here is that terrain is gone. So this person can now actually fake out, which is, I guess, important for Curse here. Now the problem is that after that speed boost, it's probably going to be getting outspeed by the Braviary.
Right, we see the follow me, probably trying to avoid getting faked out here, but we see a Dark Pulse first from the Mewtwo, and then the Persian is going to... I'm not sure, I didn't see exactly what he selected.
Well, we're going to see first how much damage it's going to take because I saw that it was carrying a Focus Sash. Ooh, but not targeting the Persian, targeting the Mewtwo and getting another speed boost. So that is all for Mewtwo in this first round. And the Boston Red Claws, I think they're in way too much of a dire situation right here. The Icy Wind is important because I don't think it's actually going to matter. It would have been good like a turn ago, or if Mewtwo had chosen to protect. But now it was already at +2. It's going to stay at +1 only, but that is probably enough to outspeed the Persian.
Yeah, I think at this point, it's pretty much in the bag for the Lansing Leafeons. I don't think this Persian has the... There's not enough Persian power in the world to take this duo down right now, so that's going to be the end. Oh, not yet.
No, hanging on.
Hanging on to the edge of tomorrow.
I think it's at least going to try to get another KO, but no, it's not enough. You
Not
might.
quite.
I'm going back now to that comment you made about how it was probably carrying some investment in special attack, because I don't see it hitting as hard as I would think it would. And well, that's GG, and that's game 1 going to the Lansing Leafeon. So a great start to the set there. Some pretty interesting stuff on both sides. So again, as per usual, this is the best of 3. So Curse and the Boston Red Claws are going to have a chance at bringing this back. And what do you think we might expect to see for game number 2, Perk?
Well, I would say I'm not expecting to see the Honchkrow come back necessarily. I think it didn't really have a chance to shine in that round 1. I would like to see it come back because I think it is a threat. But with Indeedee being there and some of the other mons that he's carrying on his team, now that he knows that the Dialga is carrying Ice Beam, that Honchkrow is not looking, as good of an option as it might have otherwise. I'd like to see the Klefki come in here. I'd like to see Enamorus come in here. But, we'll see, because it's one of those things where you're trying to evaluate, what your opponent is potentially swapping, what you're potentially swapping. And sometimes, it's just best to just, go with what you know. Let's see here. We got Enamorus, Honchkrow, Persian, and Mewtwo. I like this. I like this one a lot.
Okay, yeah, definitely. Curse mixing it up. The Lansing Leafeons don't really have a reason to try to adjust. I think they were looking good And especially, I think, yes, a key point of that first match was how Honchkrow was just like, I guess he was there ready for the Lando. It took the Intimidate thanks to the Clear Amulet without any problems, but then it just took an Ice Beam to the face, and it was out. And this time, again, the Lansing Leafeons leading with the Indeedee, and this time we have the Braviary right from the get-go, and we have a situation here that we saw already before on week 2, where the Lansing Leafeons were facing the Riolu's Rangers, coached by Coach Bashe, and that Braviary is not protected by the terrain because it's flying, so it's technically not touching the terrain right now, but if it does choose to terrestrialize, then it will be safe. So that makes it a guessing game here, whether you want to go for the fake out or not.
Yeah, and I think right now it's like, is that what the Persian is here for? Because it seems like to me, fake out is there as an option, but Icy Wind is where Persian is really putting in the work, at least as far as I'm seeing it so far. So I think, you know, the potential for a swap in here, or, you know, whatever way you want to look at it, whether Braviary wants to go for an Esper Wing, you know, trying to slow this team down so that he can keep momentum is definitely crucial. So we see the Honchkrow come back in here. I'm a little surprised about that. But there's the Icy Wind. Get the slow.
Oh, that
Braviary takes a ton of damage.
Okay, yeah, it was
and
a crit.
And a crit. And the speed drop. Of course. Icy Wind.
Of course. Oh, no, but I think Curse was anticipating a psychic attack coming in, but Nick actually getting him with that Dazzling Gleam, doing a ton of damage, and then Indeedee, that is usually a support mon, is going to be grabbing a kill here on the Persian. So Persian, I guess you could say, kind of did its job getting those speed drops, getting a decent amount of damage on the Braviary, but that turn cost the Boston Red Claws a mon, and it's left Honchkrow on life support, dude. Honchkrow there with 8 HP and a dream.
Yeah, and I don't really think either. Like it looked like a good turn for the Boston Red Claws at first, but that damage by Braviary afterwards was just not good. And I also think too, it's like I'm not entirely sure that these are the mons that you really want to be slowing down so much. I think he was expecting maybe something else to come in potentially. But, you know, it's like slowing down slowing down a Braviary is definitely not bad because he knows it's in range now. He can definitely take it out here if he wants to. But you still got to deal with this Indeedee, which is just a huge pain.
Well, and something to note there as well is that I think that the Mewtwo is going to just be firing off a hit, but nothing is stopping Indeedee from just using Follow Me. As we see that the Honchkrow is actually going out, the Curse wanting to keep that in the back as the Enamorous is going to be coming back in. But we see the Braviary switching out, so that's interesting. I was not expecting that. I guess Nick wants to have it in the back because it put in so much work last time. I don't, however, see the Intimidate doing much here. I'm not sure he was trying to intimidate the Honchkrow because we already knew that it had Clear Amulet. So I'm a little confused. And now the Ice Beam going into the Lando and wiping it out. Weird switch there from Nick. I don't know what he was. Maybe
one of the best things there too is like, you know, the Boston Red Claws, they get a free swap. They waste the Indeedee Protect. Now Indeedee's not going to go for Protect. They get the free kill on Lando, and the momentum has shifted completely at this point.
Do you think that Nick might have been trying to switch in Dialga to take the potential Ice Beam? Because I can't figure out why would he send Lando in right there. You didn't get anything from the Intimidate, and Lando just got destroyed.
I think it's possible. I think either maybe he was suspecting that Curse was suspecting that a different mon would swap in on that slot, but I'm not exactly sure which mon it would be.
He was playing 4D chess right there, but I think Curse was just like, Ice Beam is a good option.
He said,
the Ice Beam again.
And we see into
no, a freeze too. And I don't understand
the
Flying Terra either. What was the point there of the Flying Terra? It just made him weaker to Ice Beam. As we see the Esper Wing not doing enough damage, we do see the Speed Race on the Braviary, but Curse out here just clicking Ice Beam and making it work.
yeah, you know, like we said, Nick's playing 4D chess, and my man Curse over there playing checkers. And he just got king, so he's sitting pretty. There we see another Ice Beam. Ice Beams all day. And there down goes the Braviary.
And now the Indeedee is frozen in time, as the Enamorus is actually going to get a little bit of HP back. But then who does Nick have in the back now? Because he lost the Pokemon right there in a fell swoop after a really good turn 1 for the Lansing Leafeons. And it is Dialga, so it makes me wonder why, if you're getting destroyed by Ice Beam, why wait until now to bring out the Dialga?
Right, and I think maybe that was the plan, was to try and bait, the Ice. I'm not really sure. Maybe thought a Earth Power was coming in. Potentially thinking a Dialga swap was coming in. That's the only thing I could see it possibly being. And we see, Curse was hanging on to that Terra, switching over to ground, and he's just gonna Earth Power here. And as long as that Indeedee stays asleep, stays frozen, but he just thawed out with a Follow Me. Flying
Great
type.
timing there too, because that Mewtwo is going to be doing Earth Power into the flying Indeedee. Okay, so that makes sense. I understand. I understand the flying type now, but it's still enough for Enamorus. And I hadn't mentioned this, but we do have a mixed attacking Enamorus, which is pretty interesting to see. The superpower, it's going to be raising its attack, and it did already have an attack boost from the Intimidate. Now let's see if the Dialga can take out the Enamorus. Yes, it's going to be enough, and what an ending to this game we're having with the Mewtwo. The Mewtwo does have the advantage here, thanks to that Terra and the Earth Power. Now there's nothing to protect the Dialga from it. And the Honchkrow, we mentioned the Honchkrow. It had 8 HP and a dream, and now he's back for vengeance.
He said, "It's my time, coach. It's my time.
Put me in, coach." And I think it's holding a grudge against that Dialga for one-shotting it like that with Ice Beam. We have seen a lot of Ice Beam on this set.
Yeah, we have. We have seen a lot of Ice Beam. But the question is Honchkrow going to get its revenge here? See the Night Slash come out, and that's a critical hit.
The crit.
And that's going to win the Boston Red Claws set number 2. And we're going to a game 3.
All evened up, and what a set we're having right here. I mean, I love both of these coaches. I think they're both very smart. They both know how to. I think you told me once about how Curse likes to juice teams, and I think we're seeing that right here, dude.
Yeah.
A lot of ice beaming, but it worked. That was the ice beam game, and Curse played it perfectly.
Yeah, and for those who don't know, what I mean when I say Curse likes to juice his teams, what that means is essentially he's squeezing every ounce of anything he can get out of them, right? He's going to use them in any which way that is humanly conceivable. He is going to find a way to use that team in a unique way, and I think that's one of his specialties. And watching these two play, and I've watched them play a lot in real life as well. It's always fun because they're both super creative. They're super good coaches, and this is definitely going to be, I think, a highlight round of the season. Hopefully, one of the highlights, I should say.
Well, now that you mentioned that, I feel obligated to mention too how my personal record against Nick is not good. I think I'm a little more even against Curse, but I usually struggle whenever I do have to battle Nick.
Oh, I mean, I get it.
And before we go into the game, you're also saying like this is going to be one of the highlights, but these matches, they're getting a lot closer and they're getting a lot more intense. Like this featured match is actually going to a game 3, and in the last couple of weeks, the number of sets that have gone to that third game has increased by a lot. So coaches are figuring out what they want to do, and they're starting to like make their teams do as much as they're able to do. As we start this time with the Typhlosion and Lando with the Klefki and the Persian, and we do see the Klefki. It's going to be tearing into fire, possibly not eat an eruption.
Yeah, that's you definitely don't want to see that, and I think man, Klefki, such a great mon. Typhlosion, like I said before, I am surprised to see it, but let's see what it can do, right? Like, I'm not really expecting a ton, but as you said, and as I suspect, we're probably going to see Eruption and Eruption. And that's probably it.
That's what it does, man. I love Typhlosion, but I do have to say, I think Typhlosion is not really that good. It's got a nice niche. Oh, but the Terra is going to the other side. I was going to say that it's got a nice niche in that it can do a lot of damage in the sun with the Terra, but there's no sun here. The Terra went to the other Mon. A Dark type Terra, that's pretty interesting, because I'm guessing it's to prevent the Lando from being susceptible to getting prankstered. But we do see that the Thunder Wave is going actually to the other Pokemon.
Possibly. I think, honestly, if you put any type on Lando, it's probably a good thing. That thing is so powerful.
Lando's still good.
Right. Oh, we see the Paralyze.
Oh, a full
Icy Wind coming
parent.
up?
That is very important here because, okay, I guess it does make sense that the Lando did Terra because Nick is aware that it took a lot of damage from the Icy Wind the first time around. Ooh, but here comes a beefy Rock Slide. That did so much, dude. The Klefki tearing into fire, coming back to bite it because it normally would have not taken any damage from that, but that was over half. Lando hit so hard.
Yeah, it's insane, and obviously it lands both of them. Great read by Nick there, because he puts the Lando in, he starts with the Lando, he wants Lando on the field. He does not want to just swap it out after bringing it in. You already got your Intimidate out, like let's see what we can get done. Let's go ahead and hit the Terra button, and let's start throwing out some Rock Slides. You know what I mean? But
let's go for some damage.
Hey, you live by the Rock Slide, you die by the Rock Slide, so everybody knows when I run Rock Slide, it don't land. So
I have to say I have a similar experience with Rock Slide. I see the U-turn that is now super effective, not doing a lot, but it's a decent amount of damage, and
it's gotta be special.
Persian is going back. And, well, here's the thing, though. Honchkrow coming in is probably going to take a lot of damage from another Rock Slide, so instead, Curse opting to send in the Mewtwo. It does make you wonder, too, if Typhlosion was able to move. Oh, but no, you said it. Live by the Rock Slide, die by the Rock Slide. Klefki would have been gone if that connected.
But it hangs on for another turn, and the question is, do the Boston Red Claws capitalize on the fact that they get another chance with the Klefki? I would say, at the speed that Klefki is at, most likely not, but potentially, right? You never know. It could happen.
Well, what I'm expecting here is that the Klefki did have the Light Clay, so yes, it's going to be doing its job. It's going to be setting up both of the screens, and those screens are going to be there for a long time. So I think it's a fair trade for the Boston Red Claws if they do lose the Klefki here, because now they're going to be able to eat up all of those attacks. And I'm going to go back to that turn where the Typhlosion got the full para, because I'm thinking that it might have been possible that the damage from the Rock Slide that is finally going to take out the Klefki, but the damage from the Rock Slide plus the damage from whatever Typhlosion was doing could have taken out the Persian and the Klefki.
Right. We could be looking at a totally different match. Had that worked the way that I think the Lansing Leafeons had wanted it to. And we're seeing that Howl, just continuous Howl, boosting that Lando up. I think knowing, like, Eruption is not doing the Lansing Leafeons a lot of favors right now, so why not just boost up this Lando that's just hitting like a truck?
Yeah,
we see the fake out finally.
Lando at +2 is very scary as the Earth Power. Ooh, Typhlosion hanging in. It's not that frail. The flinch from the fake out, yes. Flinch from the fake out, and the Heat Wave actually going to be able to take out the Persian.
Wow.
But it was very important that fake out went in right there, because that's a Lando at +2. I am already afraid of Lando as it is, but this is Lando as if it had gotten a Swords Dance in. Now, the good thing for the Boston Red Claws is that Mewtwo is definitely faster than that Lando.
Yeah, absolutely. But then you have to think, too, it's like, you have your Honchkrow here. Does Honchkrow have enough power to take out this Lando? Probably not. But it can potentially take out the Typhlosion. I think the concern right now is, like, do we see a swap here? Do we see a protect here? And how is that going to affect? Because the thing is, right, with this Lando being as strong as it is, you've only got so many chances to take it out before it takes you out. So they definitely need to pick correctly on this turn. It's definitely this is a crucial turn for the Boston Red Claws, because we still don't know what's in the back for the Lansing Leafeons.
Oh, but
Ice Beam.
another Ice Beam, so the name of the game is still Ice Beam. And even with the Terra, it still manages to take out that Lando. That was completely necessary for the Boston Red Claws, because that Lando was looking very, very scary. As we see a Heat Wave, but Honchkrow avoids, and Mewtwo tanks that. So between the light screen, the spread move, and Mewtwo being kind of bulky from what we're seeing here, Mewtwo actually ended that turn with more health than it had before the attack came in.
Right. I think right now, as much as I'm impressed with the play of both of these coaches, I think what I'm maybe most impressed with is the spreads that it seems like Curse has on his Mons. Seeing the bulkiness on the Mewtwo, seeing presumably the special attack on the Persian, maybe. I'll have to ask him because I really want to know now. And just the way that he clearly knows his team, the limits, what he can and can't get away with. And that's just, watching somebody who is clearly prepped, it's pretty obvious.
As we're going to see here, that was very smart from Nick, because I think both of the attacks from Curse are actually going into that slot. However, we see Nick baiting. I guess he was trying to bait that and then hopefully get some damage with the Typhlosion, because sadly, Typhlosion, as much as I love it, it's not been doing a whole lot here. It did get a kill with that Heat Wave, as, again, very smart from Nick, because that Sucker Punch is not going to be effective. How much is the Indeedee going to take from that? Not a lot. Indeedee is really, really bulky. As we see this time, the Heat Wave coming on, but the light screen is doing wonders for the Boston Red Claws right now.
Right. They're taking no damage. But also that turn, I'm kind of surprised by the bulk on Indeedee. I mean, I feel like you would expect the Dark Pulse to do quite a bit more than that, but Indeedee held in there. And now you're kind of in a tricky spot because, well, Indeedee is just that annoying. Like, I think, as we've seen, it just decides whatever, it really does set the pace of the match from turn to turn. And right now, all options are open. Ooh.
Another Dark Pulse that was not enough, but the Night Slash is enough, and I think for the first time in this whole set, as the Typhlosion goes down, we're going to be seeing the Moxie. Yes, Moxie on the Honchkrow, which means that now it's going to be that much stronger. Oh no, but the Indeedee, it didn't just follow me because it was going to try to heal up the Typhlosion, but that Typhlosion is beyond healing now. It's just gone.
Yeah. Unfortunately, the bandages land on Typhlosion's corpse and have no effect.
Typhlosion saying, I needed that like 5 minutes ago.
Somebody call an ambulance, but not for me.
Not for the Honchkrow that won that game at 8 HP last time, I'll tell you that much.
That's right.
And now, smart there from Curse, because I think he's going to try to see if there's any Terra Sterilization or anything else coming in. But the Indeedee is now at very low health. And the Dazzling Gleam, we saw it do a lot last time. Is it maybe going to be able to get the kill on the Honchkrow? Just barely not, dude. Honchkrow is in love with those 8s, because 8 HP, now 18 HP, and actually getting rid of the Indeedee. So another Moxie boost, and ooh, I think it's curtains. It's curtains for this match, because both of the Pokemon here are able to take out that Braviary. The +2 Sucker Punch is going to do it, and the Boston Red Claws with a shocker here. I would say it's an upset if we consider the records that these teams had, but we know that Curse was able to do it, and that just means that there's no more undefeated teams in the league, Perk.
Right, that was the last one, and what a way to go out. I mean, I think they both played fantastic, and it was just honestly a treat to see the two of them battle, so I hope you guys enjoyed it as much as we did.
I'm sure we did. I'm going to be like posting some sort of meme or something about all of the ice beams that we saw in this battle. 4D chess versus ice beaming. But we really appreciate you for joining us. Like Frick said, we hope that you enjoyed this set. We definitely enjoyed it. And we're going to be signing off, but we'll catch you next week for more Friday Night Draft League. So he is Perk, and I am Solo Salo. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you on the next one.
All right, so let's go ahead and talk about the kill leaders for the week. We have at the number 1 position, we have Magirna reclaiming its title as the kill leader. It had it before and it's back. It has 15 kills. Then we have Miraidon at 14, followed by Kyogre at 14 as well. Landorus Therian got stopped in its tracks after being that kill leader and being so dominant. This week it got stopped in its tracks by none other than me. Anyways, it's over at 13 kills. We have Groudon at 12. Abomasnow consistently staying within the top 10 with 10 kills. Braviary Hisuian at 10. Enamorus Incarnate at 10. Koraidon at 10. And Mewtwo at 9. Again, very, very dominant showings by all of these Pokemon. I suspect that Magirna will continue to be dominant. I think Miraidon has the possibility to become a kill leader here pretty soon. And honestly, Kyogre has been here since early in the season. I think if Kyogre can manage to get some good matchups and get some of those water spouts out and get some dual KOs, it could easily become number 1. All right, so this is going to be a brand new segment since we're so close to the trade deadline here. Now, let me remind everyone what the trade deadline is going to look like. You have unlimited amount of trades, trainer to trainer, coach to coach. You only have 5 free agency transactions. However, that trade deadline means you're done with both of those. You cannot conduct trades with other coaches after that week, and you cannot conduct any free agency transactions after that week either. So it would be a great opportunity for all of the trainers to go ahead and adjust their teams, especially for those going into playoffs. Now, some coaches may be close to securing that playoff entry. Some coaches may be right on the right there to go ahead and secure their own. So trade deadline is a really important time of, I guess, the season. So what have I got for you guys here? I have 1 free agency pickup for each team that would probably benefit their team, kind of like a recommendation and or just, hey, maybe consider this. And some of these teams have trades that may benefit both teams mentioned. So let's go ahead and start off with the Cuernavaca Cyndaquils. Right here, I have a good free agency acquisition for the Cuernavaca Cyndaquils being dropping Roaring Moon and picking up Volcarona. Again, Volcarona was the kill leader for Season 1, and the Cuernavaca Cyndaquils held Volcarona in their team. And again, the Cuernavaca Cyndaquils have a lot of experience with Volcarona. Volcarona is a really good fit for this team because it will benefit from the sun that Groudon sets up. Its Terra is great. Its special attack stat is great. Has redirection to protect a lot of the Mons on this team that can also put in a lot of work. And guess what? Volcarona is really good in this team with its weaknesses. Watch. A rock type destroys Volcarona, but Groudon, Samurott, Lilligant, Tropius, and Goldengo all back it up. So again, just saying, Volcarona could be a very, very adequate fit into this team and can be paired up in multiple different ways with a lot of the Pokemon here. Now, however, the Cuernavaca Cyndaquils can also conduct a trade. Now, here I have the Cuernavaca Cyndaquils trading Roaring Moon to the Seattle Sandstorm for Arcanine. And why would they do that? Well, the Seattle Sandstorm also have a Sun user, but it's Koraidon. And again, Roaring Moon would still benefit from the Sun and also benefit in that team. That team has a lot of Paradox Pokemon, those specifically benefiting from the Sun with Koraidon, and Roaring Moon would be a great addition to that team. Now, that team also already has a Fairy Core, has with this Roaring Moon have a Dragon. I think it'd be a really great fit. Now, Cuernavaca Cyndaquils already have an Arcanine. I know, I'm tracking. If this trade were to go through, they'd obviously have room to play with that B tier slot where Arcanine Hisuian is. They'd be able to drop that and add another Pokemon in, and that's why I think that trade makes sense for both teams. But let's go ahead and move in to the next team, which would be the Lansing Leafeons. And as we load the team up here, we see that the Lansing Leafeons have a pretty solid team and have a pretty solid record. However, I do have 1 free agency transaction for the Lansing Leafeons, no trades, however, and I have them dropping Dachsbun for either Ditto or Persian Alolan. So again, Ditto would be a great fit for this team just because this team is already, it's been dominant the whole season. But you bring in Ditto into the fray and you bring in Ditto in a matchup that might be a little bit difficult and you can use your opponent's own Pokemon to your own advantage. And if you do a little bit of scouting, which the Lansing Leafeons are really good of extending games to 3 matches, I think they hold the record this season for the most amount of 3-round matches in the season. They get all the information they need game 1, bring in Ditto game 2, and take any sort of like strategy you had and use it against you, I think the Lansing Leafeons would be a great fit to have Ditto. Also, Dodge Bun hasn't been too productive in this team. So again, swapping that for Ditto would be great. And a Lowland Persian would be really good in this team as well, just because of its parting shot ability, the ability to keep that momentum up, pivot around. And I think the Lansing Leafeons would benefit from that greatly. But let's go ahead and move on to the next team I have here, which would be the Flying Dutchmans. Now, the Flying Dutchmans, we do have two. We have one free agency acquisition that they can go ahead and pick up and work with, or a trade. So the first thing I have here is the Flying Dutchmans dropping Enamorous Therian and picking up either Sylveon or Mimikyu. And why would you do that? Well, you keep your fairy typing, so you still keep your core, but I don't think Enamorous Therian has been working too well in this team, whereas I think Sylveon retains some of the bulk that Enamorous brings to the table, while also provides a lot of offensive pressure. We've seen Sylveon paired with Kingambit before in VGC. You have a Dragon type in Palkia. I think it's beneficial and it makes sense. Also, Mimikyu. Mimikyu has that ghost typing, so Mimikyu paired with Kingambit is a really good bring. However, the thing with Mimikyu is it's more of a physical attacker rather than that special that you would have with Sylveon. So you kind of get to play with whichever one you want to work with here. Now, I do have a trade for the Flying Dutchmans. How about target the Boston Red Claws? And don't go too far. Trade Enamorous Therian for Enamorous Incarnate. Both teams won't be losing much. I think the slower Enamorous form may be more beneficial to the Boston Red Claws because the team is very fragile on that end. So you add a little bit of bulk with Enamorous, still having a fairy type and not changing the dynamic of that pretty weird team already. And I think both teams can make that trade happen without losing or sacrificing too much. But let's go ahead and go on to the next team. Next up, we have the Kent Cloths. Kent Cloths have been doing a great job this season as well. And I have one free agency acquisition and one trade for the Kent Cloths. So the Kent Cloths I have dropping Bascu Legion Male and picking up Glimora. Now, why Glimora? Glimora is a wild card. So Bascu Legion, you're going to bring it in the rain, use Swift Swim, and kind of go with that, right? Use Last Respects, all that stuff. It's pretty on the nose. Glimora, however, does really well with its speed tiers, does really well with Terra. Its special attack stat is great, and terastallizing that Glimora, plus its Toxic Debris ability, plus the fact that Mortal Spin hits both Mons and sets up spikes, it's a very threatening Pokemon, and I think you pair that up with the rest of this team, and it'd be great. So if you put like an all-attacking Glimora with Assault Vest and put a defensive Terra on that thing, it is not going to faint in the first turn. So again, I think Glimora as a free agency pick for the Kent Cloths makes a lot of sense for that Bascu Legion slot. Now, I also have a trade, like I said before. So, again, targeting the Seattle Sandstorm here, I think the Kent Cloths can pull a trade of Ursaluna for Scizor. Now, Scizor in this team makes sense, believe it or not. You bring in Scizor, you get that priority. You don't really have a lot of priority here in this team. You bring in Scizor, you get that priority Bullet Punch. You get that Steel type that's really good. You do have one in Bronzor, but this one's a little bit more of an offensive typing. You also get that Bug type. You have a lot of Pokemon here right now that are weak to Grass. Well, 3 really, but they're still weak to Grass. You bring in that Scizor, you do have U-turn access. I think it has Pounce. You have options to deal with that. So again, I think that's a trade that can be done. It might have to have a little bit of negotiation. I think the Ursaluna will also benefit the Seattle Sandstorm. And speaking of the Seattle Sandstorm, let's go ahead to that team and talk about that real quick. So the Seattle Sandstorm are right here, and I have one free agency and 2 trades that we already mentioned, but we're going to go ahead and revisit. So I have the Seattle Sandstorm for free agency drops, dropping Braviary and picking up Zoroark. Why Zoroark? Well, deception is key, right? With Zoroark, you can deceive your opponent, bring in the Koraidon, bring in the Fluttermane, bring in the Sandy Shocks. You don't know which one's which. There's an Knuckle stack. And again, with Zoroark, you could do so many different things, and just that sense of not knowing what's going on the field, that little deception can be enough to kind of tilt you over the edge. Because right now they're in a 6-6 record. They're pretty even. They're straightforward. They're not in or out. They're more in than out, but they're not really breaking the needle. I think you bring in that Zoroark, you disrupt the team a little bit. You disrupt your opponent's strategy and prepping. I think it'd be a great fit. Now for the trades, like we mentioned, Roaring Moon in this team is also really good. You'd be giving up Arcanine. Sure, that's a lot of bulk there, but you bring in your Roaring Moon into this team. You already have a pretty scary core here with Fluttermane, Koraidon. Add in Roaring Moon. Say you still drop Braviary and do the Zoroark free agency pick along with Roaring Moon in this team. It's insane. It's insane what the team can do. And with the boost of the sun, it's even more scary. So I think these are some acquisitions the Seattle Sandstorm can consider. Obviously, these aren't the end all be all, but there's some good ones right there. Now let's move to the next team, which is the Spikemuth Pranksters. Now, I have two free agency pickups for this team and two trades. And again, this one's going to be a big one. This one will greatly disrupt the team, and this is just more for fun. This team is almost in the same position as the Seattle Sandstorm. They're a little bit more ahead than them, and 6 wins, 5 losses. But I have the Spikemuth Pranksters dropping Annihilate and dropping Cleaver for Dondozo Tatsugiri. Hear me out. You have Magirna, Dondozo, both work well in Trick Room. Tatsugiri works well alone, believe it or not. You have Jump Pluff for Disruption. You could also do some crazy shenanigans with Soak Tatsugiri, Choice Scarf Soak Tatsugiri. You have Thwacky. You can Terra Regidrago, but you also have Jump Pluff as a grass type. So you could do a lot of mix and matching combinations there. But if that's not your cup of tea, I do have two trades. I do have a trade from the Spikemuth Pranksters to the Little Rock Lucarios of Cleaver for Zoroark Hisuian. Again, kind of the same concept as the previous team with the Seattle Sandstorm. Deception is key, except the typing here is a lot better, right? So Zoroark Hisuian for Cleaver, I think it could be done. And then I have another trade for the Riolu's Rangers of Cleaver for Overquill. I don't think the Riolu's Rangers will be able to cut into playoffs, so I think making a buy low or kind of like a sell situation for that team, picking up that Overquill, giving them a Cleaver, which still kind of works with their team. You do gain access to Intimidate with Overquill. Overquill can provide some support and still put some offensive pressure to opponents as well. I think it'd fit in this team pretty well. Let's go ahead and move on to the Little Rock Lucarios. Now, for the Little Rock Lucarios, believe it or not, I have them doing 2 free agency transactions, really three free agency transactions. One of them is for a mon that they already had, which is crazy. So I say drop the Rayquaza, bring Urshifu back in, Urshifu Rapid Strike, drop Iron Valiant, pick up Pelipper, and then rearrange your free agency pick, like your free picks. You have 4, Espathra, Samurott, Florges, and Clodsire. Rearrange the point distribution there so you can drop and pick up Palafin. So you would have Palafin, Urshifu Rapid Strike, and Pelipper. I think that'd be a great set there for this team. It could be fun to use for the rest of the season. I think the Little Rock Lucarios may be out of contending for a playoff spot. It depends on how things play off this next week coming up. But again, I think you change that core up a bit, bring this team together into another rain team into the fray with Palafin. I think it'd be a really good set. Now, let's go to the Cleveland Celebi. Now, this is one of the hardest teams to kind of set anything up. I don't have trades for the Cleveland Celebi, just like I don't have trades for the Lansing Leafeons. The reason for that is because those teams are just so up ahead. You really don't want to change the team comp too much. They seem to be pretty dominant with their team setup. So for this, I have 1 free agency transaction, dropping Iron Jugulus for Drifblim. Drifblim gets Unburdened. You pop it with the Electric Seed in Miraidon, and you have a strength sapping thing that won't die if you Terra that thing to the right Terra type. So again, there are some good considerations there for the Cleveland Celebi to make the team even more disruptive than it is and more dominant. So again, I think the Iron Jugulus for Drifblim and the Shroodle for Dracloak are mons that may be getting picked off of the board here. Let's go over to the Riolu's Rangers, where I have 2 free agency transactions for them. We have dropping the Moltres for the Hippowdon, and then we have dropping the Decidueye Hisuian for the Houndstone. Make this team a sand team. I know you have Walking Wake there. Maybe you can sell Walking Wake to a team, but I think if we make these transactions, I think this team has a solid shot of getting a win or 2 here before the season ends. And finally, we have my team, the Boston Red Claws. And here I just made 2 notes. Maybe drop Thundurus Incarnate for Zapdos. Again, this is in that premise of getting less fragile and a little bit more bulky. Zapdos can take a few hits better than Thundurus. We lose Prankster, but we do get more or less the same amount of support and a little bit more offensive pressure in the special attack side with Zapdos. Then I also have that trade I mentioned with the Flying Dutchmans. If you look at the team, my team isn't particularly fast either. So I could benefit from a slower mon like an Amorous, set up Trick Room with one of my faster mons, and it might still work. So again, I think these are some good free agency transactions or trades to conduct prior to the trade deadline. So again, hopefully you guys are watching this video and making some notes and just making decisions after that. And finally, let's go ahead and talk about the standings for this week. We have the Orange Division and the Violet Division standings on screen right now. In the Orange Division, we have the Cuernavaca Cyndaquils taking the lead again. 7 wins, 5 losses, 25 kills, 29 deaths. Again, we told you guys, this team was a champion team last season. They are sleepers. They don't usually start off super dominant. They like messing around, learning their team, learning opponents' play styles. This team will watch footage. If there's footage out there, they will watch tape and they will watch your gameplay and figure out your strategy and build accordingly. So don't sleep on the Cuernavaca Cyndaquils. We have the Seattle Sandstorm, constant, pretty neutral across the board. 6-6, 32 kills, 34 deaths. Then we have the Flying Dutchmans, having a forfeit. They do have 5 wins, 8 losses, 25 kills, 26 deaths. Then we move on to the 2 teams that are currently outside of the running for playoffs. We have the Riolu's Rangers at 3 wins, 8 losses, 25 kills, 32 deaths. Then we have the Little Rock Lucarios, 3 wins, 8 losses, 15 kills, 35 deaths. Again, in this division, I think anything can happen still. I think it gets a lot harder in the Violet division because we do have 2 very dominant players in that one division. So we have the Cleveland Celebi, 9 wins, 2 losses, reclaiming the number 1 spot from the Lansing Leafeons. They have 40 kills, 20 deaths. That's 2 kills for each death. Again, they're extremely dominant. Then we have the Lansing Leafeons, which always seems to split games 3 ways. We have 9 wins, 4 losses, 42 kills, 34 deaths. Then we have the Kent Cloths, 7 wins, 5 losses, 28 kills, 27 deaths. And right behind them, you have the Spikemouth Pranksters fighting for a slot into the playoffs. They have 6 wins, 5 losses, 33 kills, 30 deaths. And then right behind them, you have my team, which started off really slow, picked up these last 2 wins, 4 wins, 8 losses, 31 kills, 40 deaths. Again, almost every team in this division has more kills than the division on top, which is the Orange Division. That's something to look at. The Violet Division seems to be the more aggressive, the more offensive division, whereas the Orange Division is a little bit more laid back defensive playing. That's what it looks like from the analytics side. Again, I feel like the Orange Division is going to start picking up some kills this week as they start doing a lot more interleague play. So we'll see how this all pans out next week. But until then, my name is Kershaka. This is the end of Friday Night Draft League. Hopefully you guys all enjoyed. And until next time, take it easy. Bye-bye.